great. It
It
was such a
is your
great time.
birthday.
Yes.
Speaking of The Office, because as my great transition there,
What a great
um,
segue. Oh man, look at that.
um, the funny thing is, I actually have three different things, and by the time I finish this podcast, the underachievers, you
Three?
think I've done nothing but watch TV and like watch sports and everything in the last week. But I assure you, I was busy this week. I feel like Jeff can attest to this. I did do some things last week besides just watch TV. So I'm going to start with my kind of unofficial official critique. So last week, I started watching the original Office, the UK version.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's on HBO Max. I think it's also on Hulu too for anyone that
Yeah.
wants to watch it. And it was one of those things like, people have always kind of hyped and obviously there's an American version of it and I want to see what the original was. I went into it like not expecting obviously you can't go into expecting like the same exact show for the American that it was UK and vice versa for that. So I was like, okay, let's just see how it was. And it's really funny. I'll admit there's a lot of like cringy, not cringy like Scott's Tots, but like cringy kind of
Oh,
moments in it. I'll admit, but it's still overall pretty funny. Um, and I'll say, and the other thing too is and I think you would also kind of do the same thing if you were watching it too. Just because I've watched because you outside of myself have watched the American version of The Office probably as much as I have, at least 1,000 times. Um, and it's one of those things like, and when I was watching, I was like, oh, that's like one of those things when I was like, oh, they took that thing from it and that thing, just kind of,
yeah.
they either, for characters, they either expanded their character out more in the US version or they
Mhm.
just went a different kind of route with it.
So I
Um,
actually have something real quick about that kind of thing. So I've been listening to Office Ladies podcast for ages now. It's so funny. And Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey were mentioning. Really, I think it was definitely the first episode. It was almost shot for
it's
shot.
shot for shot the same
It's
exact
basically shot
pilot.
for the shot, same exact thing. And
The
I think
first,
from there on out, everything else was their
it's
own
different.
content.
Yeah. It's their own
Well, I
content.
mean,
I think they
it's not
took
like they didn't get ideas from it, but like they just
Oh yeah,
changed
you
it
can
up.
see it. You can see it like some things here and there. You can see in the UK version that the US version took not the same story, but like that kind of story arc, but
Same
changed it
concept.
different. Yeah, same concept, but just did it differently. For
Yeah,
example, the episode where uh, and the first season more so than anything else, a little bit in the second season, but more so in the first season. Um, the one episode where Michael gives Dwight the has him choose the house plan for everyone, and they go
yes,
back and forth about taking the conference room or whatever and
yep,
him calling it his office. That's a back and forth in the UK version as
yeah,
well.
yeah. No, someone had mentioned that.
It's just one of those things that I just find funny, and it's another thing is like you can see like the story arcs that they kind of took, but not really. Like
Right.
the character Ryan's based on. There's only 2 seasons, and it's actually really short. I finished it. You can easily finish the UK version in like a weekend. Like
Oh
the
wow.
first 2 seasons were like 6 episodes, and the second season they had 2 seasons, then a
There's only
Christmas
2 seasons.
2 seasons, then a Christmas special, which is 2 parts, which is like an hour long.
Oh wow.
Um, so realistically, I finished it uh
Literally in a
relatively
weekend.
quickly. Yeah, literally in a weekend. But I did it my spreading because I knew it was a shorter series. I try to spread it out more, just to kind of make it last longer than try to
Yeah.
get it done quickly.
Especially since it's so short, you
Yeah,
know.
at first I was doing like one episode at a time, then it moved to like twice, 2 times or whatever. And I gotta say that I do like Martin Freeman because he plays Jim, the original. He plays Tim, the
Yep.
original Jim, and I like John Krasinski and his portrayal of Jim. And I gotta say, it's a very toss up of which type of character I kind of like. I'll say the
Really?
American version of The Office. I think there's more out loud funny moments of it,
Hmm.
but I think I kind of like the story arc, and obviously for a
Better.
season that's in two
Yeah.
in the UK version. Obviously, the US version takes some of it being downsized, potential as downsized.
Yeah.
Stanford versus Scranton, and one of you guys are going to be it. They kind of take a little bit of it, but I kind of like how it is. The Jim
Mhm.
Pam relationship, Tim Dawn relationship is different in that than it is in the US version. Obviously, they expanded it more. Jim and Pam get married, they do that, they have kids and all that. But in the original version, it's similar to the first like 3 seasons where Jim and Pam are separate, but more so. I don't want to give anything too far away, but it's also the series ended in 2003, so
yes,
there's going to be spoilers. I'm sorry
if you've never seen it. Spoiler alert, but
yes, yeah, if you've never seen it, spoiler alert. But also at the same time, if you watch the American version, you can kind of expect it. But Jim, just he gets rejected by Dawn twice, and they don't get together until the Christmas special, like the very end.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah. She never gets married because it's the exact same thing. There's a Roy in it, but it's not Roy. It's a different guy. But
right, it's another character. Yeah,
he's in the warehouse, and that she actually leaves. Like the last episode before the Christmas special, they leave to go to Florida because his brother or whatever has a place out in Florida. So I think it's like 3 years or something like that, or a certain amount of time.
So it's kind of like how Roy in the American Office has his brother Kenny,
Yeah, you never see them, but they go there, and then the Christmas set, like you see, they're still kind of struggling a bit, and similar to how, and they took this kind of story arc in the American version where Roy doesn't want Pam to really be an artist, but Jim kind of wants to push her to do that.
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing that pushes Dawn towards Tim, because Tim's like, don't give up on your dreams, even if he doesn't want you to, kind of thing. And kind of that season 3 aspect where Jim is with Karen, Tim is with someone else, and you kind of see Dawn or Pam kind of a little jealous, but also kind of not at the same time.
Right.
It's just one of those things. It's just me as an Office fan, just kind of looking at it like, oh, that's cool. They took this. Kevin is, I think, based off of a character on the show. There's a bunch of others, things like that. Characters you can see, obviously Dwight, Gareth. Which makes me even appreciate more of the one cold open where both bosses meet, which is like season 7, where Michael's coming out in an elevator and he meets like this Ricky Gervais's character, his British guy, and they go back and forth for a while, and then he hugs him at the end because he says that's what she said and all that.
Yeah.
And then he asks if they're hiring. That's David Brent. That's the original boss, meaning Michael Scott, the different boss. And those are two completely different characters, because in the British version, they don't make him, they don't really humanize him as much as they do in the American version. They don't make him as likable until the very, very end. Like the last couple of scenes of the Christmas special, that's where he's a little more likable. But it's still, that's where the cringiness kind of comes in. Kind of like Michael Scott at the very beginning. He makes it joke, no one's really laughing, and he just kind of stands there in silence for a couple.
Yeah, so because they had, do you remember in season 9 when Pam is in Philly and she's trying to do that job interview for the office manager, which is really the receptionist, but it's less demeaning,
Yeah.
So that guy,
that deja vu,
isn't that guy the Michael Scott in the British version, or who's Ricky Gervais's character?
David Brent. He's Michael.
He's Michael Scott. Okay,
he's Michael Scott.
Gotcha. Because the way they did this in season 9 of The Office, though, is basically, and Pam even refers him to
this is Michael Scott.
Scott. Yeah. Oh my God, this is Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I know that guy, though. I'm pretty sure he was on the British version. So I think he was on the British version. I don't know.
No, he was on Breaking Bad.
Okay.
The boss in that one, he was in Breaking Bad. He was in How I Met Your Mother. Forget what his name is, and he did try out. He did try out for Michael Scott's character. That's what it was. I think. Yeah. He originally was going to try, or I think during those like first calls or whatever, that was one of those things. And can you explain something to me, Jeff? Because I was watching. No. I was watching The Office the other day. And it was the episodes where Will Farrell is in it. Why the fuck is Will Farrell in The Office for like 4 episodes? And not only that, why is he unlikable?
So, all right, I'm glad you're.
My only theory. This is my theory. This is my theory
for years now.
This is my theory on it. I think it was more network versus the writers themselves saying, let's
Probably.
bring in there, because Michael Scott was going to leave or whatever. And I don't think they were going to say, let's bring Will Ferrell in. I think because at the time, I think they might have been dropping a bit in the ratings. My only thought was maybe someone at NBC said, hey, would you guys mind if you bring in Will
Trying to get
Ferrell?
viewers.
Yeah, try to get Ferrell, get another big name, Will Ferrell, Steve Carell, Michael Scott, get them back and forth. You can get some great little back and forth there.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't happen. It
It
just
didn't
doesn't
work
make
out.
sense.
It didn't work.
And it's also, I will say this too, before we actually get to that. The ending is also very similar. Not the complete endings are similar in that they come back, it stops, and then they come back later to see how everyone's doing because people have left or whatever.
Yeah.
But Gareth and Dwight end up being the boss at the very end.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
And that's kind of similar to how it. And Tim and Jim turned down the actual manager thing. That's the only reason why I don't get, like, why after another like story arc never got is why did Jim all of a sudden just not care about being manager after Saber came? Because I got it at the time, because when Saber came in, it was like when there was the two bosses, and then it was either Michael or Jim. Jim left to do sales because there was going to be more money.
It made more money.
But then the whole time still, it's like I've still just been a salesman this whole time. After right before then in season 6 and everything, you see him wanting to be, more. You want him to be, he wants to be a little higher in the company and whatever. And it just kind of, he never has it. And then he turns down the job by Joe Bennett when Dwight gets it for like an episode when he fires the gun off. And then he just never comes back to him. Like, I never got that. Like, I never got that. And also, if you really talk about it realistically, Andy shouldn't have gotten the manager job either. Because even before then, he was the worst salesman.
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, I went a little tear there. What was your thinking of the Will Ferrell thing? I want to touch on that.
So for Will Ferrell, I've always been curious as to why him. And there's one moment that I didn't mind him, but there was one moment that honestly
I think
ruined his office appearance forever for me. And I'm just I love Will Ferrell as an actor. I think he's absolutely hilarious.
Oh, same.
But
it's just
he just doesn't fit in the office. But the one moment that ruined it for me is when they're singing the goodbye, the goodbye song to Michael, and it's a beautiful moment. It's very emotional. Michael's tearing up, and you can tell how much it means to him. And it's such a beautiful song, very well written by them, and it's such a amazing, incredible moment. And then Will Ferrell comes in, and he starts doing this ridiculous singing, high and low pitch voice. I don't know if it's him, trying to make it like a more beautiful song, but it was already a perfect song, and that kind of just made it less perfect. It's what kept it
took away from
perfect.
It took away from that moment.
It really did, and honestly, every time I watch it,
in that moment, it's like you don't really. I know it's a comedy show and comedy series. Realistically, you don't really want to. There's not much of those like emotional kind of moments. You'll have them, but like that moment, Michael Scott's leaving. It's his last Dundee. It's all this. You don't need him to be that funny in that moment. That moment, you can just have.
No, it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be a nice, beautiful moment.
Yeah, them kind of sing them off, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, and it just ruins it a bit.
Yeah. And the funny part of that song is that they did the math of how long Michael Scott had been there.
I
know. We really did the math. And then I hated that they only put him in there in the final episode for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like little things here and there. That's one reason just because the UK version is shorter. I think that's kind of why I like that one a little more. But that's kind of it's tight. It's close, but that's kind of my thinking there.